Good afternoon. A 24-year-old man is dead following a shooting outside a Burlington mall late last night.
Now, Halton police are searching for a pair of suspects they believe are responsible for the killing. CTV's John Musselman has been following the investigation and joins us live with more details. John.
Well, Nathan, I can tell you the shooting happened right behind me in the parking lot here at this Burlington mall. We'll show you some video from last night. Police got the call just after 10 o'clock. Reports that at least 3 shots were fired here. They have identified the victim as 24-year-old Omer Niaz Muhammad. Now, police say the motive is still under investigation here, but a large area of the mall was sealed off. They are looking for a white SUV, possibly 2 suspects involved in this shooting. Here's what police told us this morning.
Obviously, that's going to be part of our investigation to see what the motive was, what any relationship was there. We do believe that this was a targeted incident. We don't believe there's any known risk to public safety at this time. Unfortunately, one young man lost his life. But when you're in a wide open parking lot like this and you have a gun being fired, obviously quite lucky that nobody else was struck. So it does show a wanton disregard for anybody else that might be in the area for sure.
And this is a busy mall, Nathan and Michelle. Even at 10 o'clock at night, there are restaurants here, so there would have been people around. They are canvassing the area for any kind of security video, possibly any dash cam, which may help them to identify the suspects involved here. Reporting live in Burlington, I'm John Musselman. I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, John. One person has been taken to hospital following a stabbing near Shepherd in the 404. It happened around 10:30 this morning after police responded to reports of an argument in the area. Police found one person with serious injuries. They were taken to hospital via an emergency run, but are expected to survive. Police are searching for a male suspect in connection with the stabbing.
A 14-year-old boy is facing several charges in connection with threats made against students and staff at an Oshawa school. On February 5th, Durham Regional Police responded to a threatening call at Harmony Heights Public School. The school was put into hold and secure until police determined the threat was false. A 14-year-old student who attended a different school has since been arrested and is facing several charges, including uttering threats, mischief, and criminal harassment. He has since been released from custody. Durham Police releasing a statement regarding this incident, which reads in part, while the call was false, the consequences were very real. A threat of this nature triggers an immediate, large-scale police response. Dozens of officers, specialized units, emergency partners, and critical resources are deployed without hesitation. Beyond the financial impact, these incidents divert officers from genuine emergencies, situations where someone truly needs help. We are asking all parents and guardians to speak with their children, no matter their age, about the seriousness of making false threats. A warning to viewers now, as some may find images in this next story disturbing. Residents in Durham region are calling for stricter rules when it comes to dangerous dogs after 2 women and a 4-year-old girl were attacked in Oshawa.
The same dogs are also suspected of attacking another woman last year. CTV's Janice Golding has the story.
You're having to relive it.
Speaking to Whitby Regional Councillors, Tajana Desiree relived a vicious dog attack that left 4-year-old Riley Silva and her mother Kayla Silva injured.
I myself am still experiencing flashbacks that plague my mind of watching the dog lunge at my daughter's face.
All the delegates calling on authorities to do better, saying it took 7 days before an animal control order was issued to the dog's owners.
I'm furious. The whole thing's just been a nightmare.
It really comes down to ownership and there being more liability placed on owners and how they're caring and training their dogs.
While the dogs must now be muzzled and leashed, except in their owner's home, a regional councillor for the town says that doesn't go far enough.
Our dog bite rules need more teeth.
Chris Leahy put forward a motion that passed unanimously, calling for staff to review Whitby's responsible dog and cat owner bylaw and look at best practices from cities like Toronto, which passed new dangerous dog rules in 2024.
To me, Toronto has the gold standard. They have the requirements to put a notification on people's house when there's a dangerous dog. They have the requirement to let people know about the dangerous dog. They have the map so you can identify the area where there's issues. And orders are easier to implement.
I do not feel safe in my own neighborhood.
Janice Bell says she was attacked by the same dog 7 months ago and says she supports Leahy's motion, especially given he's also asking that all of Durham's 8 municipalities be able to share dangerous dog information so they can better protect their communities.
This isn't necessarily an Oshawa issue or a Whitby issue. This is a community issue, and we need to keep everybody safe.
Janice Golding, CTV News.
City Council is meeting today to debate Mayor Olivia Chow's proposed 2026 budget.
The spending document includes the smallest property tax increase of Mayor Chow's tenure, as well as funding increases for both the TTC as well as the Toronto Police. CTV's Natalie Johnson is live at City Hall this afternoon. She's been following the budget process all the way through, and now she joins us live now with more on the debate. Natalie.
That's right, Michelle. This is a big day for Mayor Chow's budget, which goes to a final vote here at Council today. A 2.2% residential property tax hike is what is on the table for Toronto in 2026. The mayor's critics saying it is convenient that the increase is just inflationary this year after 2 years of much higher hikes. The mayor, though, defending the way this budget has been balanced. Some of the other offerings in this spending plan include a third consecutive TTC fare freeze, expanded student nutrition programs, expanded library hours, and an additional 5% discount on the commercial tax rate for small businesses. Here's more from the mayor and a few councillors this morning.
At the end of the day, this budget isn't about numbers on a page. It's about the mom who can finally sleep at night, knowing her kids are fed at school. It's about the senior who can stay in the home they've lived in for 40 years. It's about the young couple who can imagine a future here in the city they love.
We obviously have a huge amount of responsibilities as a city. I think we've got a responsible budget ahead of us. Affordability is top of mind. We've got our lowest tax rate that we've seen in the last couple of years, which has been the intention all along of the Budget Committee, and so hopefully we can get this delivered today.
Certainly not the mayor's worst budget, but she has increased taxes by almost 16 or 17% in the last 2 years. She has an extra $1.1 billion to work with each year, so it concerns me when she's doing things like rating the TTC's emergency reserves. But I guess the definition of emergency changes a bit during an election year.
The way that the gaps were filled this year, and our CFO, is very clear about that, was a historic rate on the reserve accounts to a level that we've never seen before, and those reserves are going to have to be repaid. And it might come with as much of a 10.5% tax hike if you were going to do that next year. And so that's why, I think I can appreciate the 2.2% tax rate, but at the same time, the hard work wasn't done to make that sustainable. This is a one-year plug to improve Mayor Chow's re-election prospects in the fall. She's trying to buy Torontonians' votes, but I think most Torontonians are smarter than that.
Now, it is expected that 2.2% property tax hike will pass and that much of this spending plan will remain intact. There's not a lot of wiggle room in this financial document. There is about $2 million available for councillors to decide what to do with. That will be the discussion here this afternoon. The mayor currently fielding questions from councillors about her priorities moving forward. We'll bring you the latest on this budget tonight at 5 and 6 o'clock. Reporting live for now, I'm Natalie Johnson. Nathan and Michelle, back to you.
Natalie. Premier Doug Ford addressed the media today following remarks by U.S. President Donald Trump that he would block the opening of the Gordie Howe Bridge.
Ford dismissed those remarks, saying it's just more rhetoric from Trump. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris joins us live with more. Siobhan.
Well, the Premier says he isn't worried about this new wrinkle at the busiest commercial gateway between Canada and the U.S. He's pleased to hear that the Prime Minister spoke with President Trump this morning about the Gordie Howe Bridge. This is a project that is something like a quarter century in the making, with many, many years of study and negotiation on both sides of the border. There is a lot at stake here. The Premier says it's something like 850,000 hours of trucks sitting, waiting at the Ambassador Bridge. If this bridge, this new Gordie Howe Bridge, doesn't open, a real hit to commerce between Canada and the U.S. and tourism as well. It's why the Premier is so sure that this will all be worked out.
I'm very confident this bridge is going to open. I'll tell you the reason why it's going to open, because it's in the best interest of the American economy, the Americans, the 13 Congress people that are going for re-election in the midterms, which the Republicans own probably 7 of those seats and 1 Senate seat. as well. And the worst thing you could do is hurt the American economy and continue to hurt the American economy.
In a social media post, the president also called out Ontario specifically and the ongoing ban on U.S. booze for sale at the LCBO. The premier's not willing to back off that ban today, saying that won't happen until the U.S. removes tariffs on Canada. Back in November, the government said it had some $80 million worth of U.S. booze in storage, not being sold right now. About $2 million worth of that was close to expiring. We may be able to get an update from the finance minister. He's in charge of alcohol in the province. He speaks here at Queen's Park at 2 o'clock. Reporting live from Queen's Park, I'm Siobhan Morris. Nathan and Michelle, back to you.
Thank you, Siobhan. We have more news in a moment, but first, here's a live look at the city this afternoon. It's a little cloudy out there, but we're finally out of the deep freeze, hopefully for the entire season. And it does seem like things are more steady now weather-wise over the next few days. Lindsay Morrison is here with a look at the current conditions. Hey, Lindsay.
Hey, Nathan. You know what? This is shaping up to be our warmest afternoon in more than 3 weeks. Likely climbing above the freezing mark, as mentioned. And we did have some snow this morning. The bulk of that has now moved well off to the east, but still getting some light snowfall activity around parts of the GTA. A little bit of mixing or ice pellet activity showing up on the satellite and radar. But for the most part, the active weather portion of our day is now complete. We've got winds that are coming from a bit of a southeasterly direction for us here in Toronto right now, but they're light in nature. Look at the temperatures starting to rise. It's already 3 degrees in Niagara Falls. It's 2 degrees in Hamilton and London. We remain at -1 degree right now, but we are now forecasting a daytime high of +1 with the opportunity for us to climb even higher than that. So the rest of the afternoon looks pretty good. We'll take you through the rest of the week in your 7-day forecast coming up. But for now, Nathan, I'm going to send it back to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Canada's 3 major airlines have all canceled flights to Cuba as the island nation experiences an energy crisis.
Now, empty planes are heading to Cuba to bring travelers back home. CTV's Rahim Ladhani has been speaking with passengers and joins us live from Pearson Airport this afternoon. Rahim.
Hi, Michelle. Yeah, that's right. So all of the planes that are leaving Pearson Airport today going down to Cuba, they are going down empty with one goal, and that is to bring passengers back home to Canada. Air Canada, WestJet, Air Transat, they have all announced that they are going to be winding down their operations because of the situation unfolding in Cuba. And it's important to note that they say they will be carrying extra fuel so that they have enough fuel for the return trip and that they're not relying on local reserves. I just finished speaking with a representative from Air Canada. He says that this is going to continue for the next 5 to 10 days. The reason for that is they don't want those who are in Cuba to have to cut their trip short unless they want to. So people can still come back on their scheduled departure date, but if they do want to come back, if they're a little nervous or anxious, they can call the airline, and if there is any room, they will bring them back early. Air Canada says they have about 3,000 passengers that they need to repatriate, while Global Affairs Canada says there are about 7,200 Canadians who are registered. Of course, naturally, that number is likely higher because not everyone registers when they go down for vacation. This travel nightmare really comes because Cuba is experiencing the worst economic crisis in nearly 70 years. For decades, Venezuela had been the primary source of oil for Cuba. It was a source that was cut off when the United States captured Venezuela's president in January. Now, U.S. President Donald Trump has said he would impose tariffs on any country that sells or provides oil to Cuba, and that has further depleted its sources of fuel. Now, we chatted with Stuart Green, who's in Cuba, and if that name sounds familiar to you, it's because he's a spokesperson for the TTC. He's vacationing there and is scheduled to fly back to Toronto on Thursday. I want you to have a listen to what he's experiencing following Kathy Case. She had her trip to Cuba canceled next month. Take a listen.
So we're in an area called Holguin, which is sort of in the east and southern part of the island. So we're quite far away from Veradero and Havana. We've had very few issues here. You know, the hotels, the resorts are all on generators. The staff is being bussed in. We've got food.
Yesterday, my husband phoned the travel agency and asked if it was going to be canceled or not, and they assured him no, only up to February 25th. And then at 5 o'clock this morning, my husband woke me up to tell me that our trip has been canceled.
Now, the major airlines say they're going to be winding down operations not just for a week or two, but till the end of April to the beginning of May. Anyone who has a trip scheduled for Cuba, they will be reimbursed for sure. And we are expecting the first flight to arrive from Veradero just before 3 p.m. And we'll be here and try to effort to chat with some passengers to see what their experiences has been like. Reporting live, I'm Rahim Ladhani. Nathan, back to you.
All right. Thank you, Rahim. Canada has added another medal to its total at the Milano Cortina Winter Games, this one coming on the speed skating track. CTV's Scott Hurst has been following the competition and joins us live with more. Scott, we're going to get to that medal in a moment, but first, major concerns about an injury to one of our women's hockey team players.
Team Canada captain Marie-Philippe Poulin has been ruled out of tonight's game against their bitter rival, the Americans, after she suffered a lower body injury in a game last night against Czechia, a game that Canada, in fact, won 5-1, but now concern about the status of Team Canada captain Marie-Philippe Poulin. So she's been ruled out tonight against the Americans. That game will take place later this afternoon. But the silver lining here maybe is that she's listed as day-to-day, so she's not ruled out of the entire Olympic program. So after tonight's game against the U.S., Canada will play its postponed game against Finland later this week to close out the preliminary round of play. So right now, of course, it is not a knockout situation, even though this is up against their bitter rival, the Americans. Really a heated rivalry between the two. However, this is not a knockout game, as I mentioned, so this isn't a make-or-break game against the Americans, but they will be, Team Canada, in fact, will be without their captain, Marie-Philippe Poulin, listed as day-to-day, suffering a lower body injury, Nathan.
Hopefully a speedy recovery. So speed skating, one of those sports you really don't see unless it's the Olympics, but it's so exciting.
Oh, short track speed skating is so exciting, Nathan. It's really fast as they go around the track, and Canada is back on the podium, albeit a very crowded podium, as they got a silver in the mixed relay event. So that is 6 athletes in total, as you see right there. Kim Boutin, Courtney Sarreau, William Dangenou, Felix Roussel, as well as Florence Brunel and Stephen Dubois. They skated in earlier rounds, and so that is why they're also receiving silver medals for Canada. It is Canada's first Olympic medal in the mixed relay, an event that was added to the program just 4 years ago at Beijing 2022. Canada edged into second place with just 3 laps to go, crossing the finish line just ahead of the Belgian team. And to the delight of the home crowd, Nathan, Italy took home the gold in that event. So as it stands right now, Canada has 3 medals total, 1 silver from this short track speed skating event, and 2 other bronze that we had previously won.
All right, it's coming. CTV's Scott Hurst in the CTV National Newsroom. Thank you.
Thanks, Nathan.
Today marks 1 month since a Northern Ontario family was forced from their home on Saskatchewan First Nation because of a water contamination crisis.
The move has uprooted their entire lives, and the youngest member of the family has not been home yet. CTV's Adrian Gobriel has their story.
That's where I live.
Evacuated on January 10th, this Kingston, Ontario hotel room is now the Stephen family's temporary home.
There's not enough room for us or for the baby.
On January 25th, little Axelson was born 1 month early. The family are also navigating the special needs of their older children. 12-year-old AJ is on the autism spectrum. His 3-year-old sister, Shirley Ann, is also on the spectrum and has been diagnosed with ADHD. There's also 2-year-old Bryce.
They're really out of their comfort zone, especially my son that's 12 years old. Doesn't go to bed, he doesn't feel safe.
Saskatchewan First Nation is located on a floodplain on the west side of James Bay in northern Ontario. On January 4th, a state of emergency was declared there amid concerns that sewage was seeping through taps into homes, contaminating drinking water. 2 weeks ago, test results revealed a parasite known as Cryptosporidium was found in water samples and is likely the cause of dozens of people becoming ill.
She got sick, yes. She got sick.
Contaminated drinking water has plagued this community for decades. In 2005, residents were forced to evacuate. CTV News was in Saskatchewan then and found multiple children with rashes believed to be brought on by water contamination. More than 20 years later, children are still believed to be suffering. Just days before this latest water crisis was declared, a similar rash broke out all over the body of 2-year-old Bryce Stephen. For decades, Indigenous leaders have asked the federal government to help relocate this community from the water plain it resides on. They're still waiting.
I hope the government sees this. I hope they all see.
A statement in part from Indigenous Services Canada says planning for the relocation of Saskatchewan First Nation continues under an agreement that dates back to 2019. For these children, yet another evacuation has left the village that used to help raise them, scattered in hotel rooms across the province, with no clear timeline for when they'll find their way home. Some we've spoken with say they're triggered every time they turn on the tap. Following decades of trauma, they don't trust the water. Not here, not in Saskatchewan, not anywhere. Adrian Gabriel, CTV News, Kingston, Ontario.
The federal government plans to spend $84 million on more electric vehicle charging ports across the country. Ottawa wants to add 8,000 EV chargers to Canada's existing stock of more than 30,000. It's part of a federal auto strategy announced last week that includes $1.5 billion on electric vehicle infrastructure. There's also an EV rebate program, an end to the EV sales mandate, and stricter emission standards for the auto sector.
Returning to one of the stories making headlines today, U.S. President Donald Trump threatening to block the opening of the Gordie Howe International Bridge. The bridge will provide a third cross-border link between Windsor and Detroit. The project, which was financed completely by Canada, will be publicly owned by Canada and the state of Michigan. However, Trump says the U.S. should be compensated and own at least half of the $6.4 billion bridge. For more on Trump's escalating trade war, we're joined live now by CTV's Judy Trin, who joins us from Ottawa. Judy, what's the sense? Why is Trump focused on this issue and why now?
Operation for President Trump. What he does is he takes to social media, he puts out his thoughts, his grievances in hopes of influencing policy and basically juicing up anger on his side of the border. This agreement was first made in 2012 under the administration of President Barack Obama. What we know is that this agreement was put forward and that Canada paid $6.4 billion towards building it because the state of Michigan didn't want to front the cost. So as per the agreement, Canada would pay for it, but would collect tolls on this bridge until it could recoup its costs, at which point the state of Michigan and Canada would split the proceeds after that. Now, Donald Trump put out so much disinformation in that social media post. The first being that no American workers or American steel was used. Prime Minister Mark Carney addressed that today, and so did Windsor Mayor Will Dilkins. Take a listen.
I explained that Canada, of course, paid for the construction of the bridge, over $4 billion, that the ownership is shared between the state of Michigan and the government of Canada, and that in the construction of the bridge, obviously there's Canadian steel, Canadian workers, but also U.S. steel, U.S. workers that are involved. This is a great example of cooperation between our countries.
This is really a swipe by the President of the United States, not just at Canada. It's a swipe at his own state of Michigan and the voters in the state of Michigan who have funded the construction of these connections, but whose livelihoods also depend on smooth and efficient trade with their largest trading partner, that being Canada.
That was Windsor Mayor Drew Dilkins. And what I can also tell you is that the Ontario Premier said, you know what, if this bridge is not built on what is the busiest trade corridor between Canada and the U.S., 25% of all trade traffic crosses this border every day, Michelle. What Ontario Premier Doug Ford had previously said was that 850,000 hours of vehicular traffic would be caught on that bridge, stalled on that bridge every year when they could be conducting valuable trade.
Judy, this was a done deal, and we've covered this along the way. You might remember in 2024 in June when both sides came together, there was this beautiful moment as the sun was coming up where the bridge actually came together and a worker from the Canada, the U.S. side, they shook hands, there were flags. It's interesting at this stage now that, you know, it's about to open. Is it just a share of the bridge? Is there something else Trump wants from this threat?
You know what? The Trump administration is not happy with how Canada has negotiated or is trying to negotiate the CUSMA relationship. That would be the trilateral trade agreement between the Canada, U.S., and Mexico. That agreement is up for review in June. And what I can tell you, Michelle, is that this administration, the Trump administration, is unhappy that Canada doesn't want to take out critical minerals from CUSMA negotiations. It wants to keep CUSMA critical minerals in those negotiations. And according to his own social media post, Donald Trump is unhappy with tariffs imposed on dairy products from the U.S. So that goes to the heart of supply management in Canada, as well as he's very, very annoyed with the fact that many Canadian provinces are still preventing U.S. alcohol and wine from being put on the shelves. And that, of course, was a movement led by Ontario's Doug Ford, who is doubling down and urging Prime Minister Mark Carney not to capitulate, not to back down on this at all.
Wonder where this one will go. CTV's Judy Trin live for us in Ottawa. Thank you.
Pleasure, Michelle.
The Prime Minister is heading overseas tomorrow for a summit focusing on defense policy. Mark Carney's traveling to Germany to attend the Munich Security Conference. The group that runs the conference issued a report that pulls from Carney's speech last month to the World Economic Forum. He urged middle powers to work together against great power economic coercion. The PM will also meet with business leaders while in Germany until Sunday. Frigid temperatures have given a new look to one of North America's most recognizable landmarks.
How about this? Niagara Falls has become completely covered in ice and will likely remain that way for some time. CTV's John Venivalle-Rao reports.
The falls were already one of the world's most iconic natural wonders, a spectacular sight made all the more incredible by the deep freeze.
It's just unbelievable.
Ice encasing parts of the falls, turning them into a winter wonderland.
You gotta hate the weather, but you gotta find the beauty in it too, right?
With tourists willing to put up with downright frigid temperatures to see the falls transformed.
There's no Maid in the Mist here today because it's packed with ice.
After more than 3 weeks straight of below zero temperatures, ice has been building up amid the longest cold snap to hit Ontario in more than a decade.
Sustained cold temperatures, we're seeing minus 10, minus 15. In fact, last night was minus 20.
The falls haven't completely frozen over. The powerful flow of the water is still too strong for that. But the ice around the falls is the most seen since 2015. The waters here have only stopped completely once before in 1848 because of an ice jam. But other severe winters have seen partial freezes, where people have even ventured out onto the ice.
To imagine all that water freezing is just how cold the temperatures have been.
Shows you how cold it is.
And it's been so cold this winter, the Great Lakes are now more than half frozen over, with Lake Erie a whopping 95% ice covered, and it could freeze over for the first time in 3 decades. A massive crack formed over the weekend that could be seen from space, and winds have pushed huge sheets of ice onto the shore, creating massive mountains of ice. At the falls, there's been a surge of tourists.
Sometimes some will say to us this is their favorite time to see Niagara Falls because this is unique to see ice conditions like this.
And while it is expected to reach 1 degree here tomorrow amid a slight warm-up, so much ice is built up around here they expect it to last for many, many weeks to come. John Venivalle-Rao, CTV News, Niagara Falls.
Wow, beautiful rainbow behind John there. And yes, Niagara Falls is already at 3 degrees so far today, and many communities will be above the freezing mark. Here's today's highs. And of course, it is worth pointing out that it's been some time since we've been this mild. The last time we were warmer than 0 degrees was all the way back on January 17th. So more than 3 weeks ago, we had 23 straight days in the minuses. And the last time we had a cold streak that was, well, our coldest on record, you have to go back a couple of decades for that. But yeah, looking back to 2015 was the last time it was similar to this. A much more zonal jet stream, though, as we make our way through the rest of the week. What does that mean for your family day weekend? We'll talk temperatures after the break here on CTV News at noon. Stay with us.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
The Winter Games are in full swing, and many people sitting on their couches at home are probably wondering, could I do that? Well, a Toronto content creator is seeking to answer that very question. CTV's Jessica Smith joins us live now with more on a social media series called The Out of Shape Olympics. Love the sound of this, Jess.
Honestly, Michelle, it is so much fun. I'm joined by Simona Stallone. So we're going to race towards you kind of speed skater style. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, let's go. We're talking about the Out of Shape Olympics, a brand new series started by you. Started with the Summer Olympics the last time around, but we're talking Winter Olympics.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me what inspired this series, because I watched it on Instagram and it is hilarious, but it's all about honoring how hard these Olympians work.
100%. So this actually started last Summer Olympics. We were sitting at the dinner table, my partner and I, and essentially we were having that conversation that I think most people do around the Olympics of saying, wow, I just wish there was like one average person there to give us some perspective, like an average Joe that's never skated or never done anything before, just plop him in there. And his response was, well, why don't you just do it? And I was like, okay, wait, why don't I just do it? So that's how it started. We basically started filming and planning like the next day. We filmed for the Summer Olympics about 25 events. Of course, we had to bring it back for winter, and we're filming about, I would say, 20 to 25 for this one as well, too, doing as accurate and close to actual Olympic events as I can as a regular person.
So we'll take a look at some of her video because the reels really do help explain it. What kind of inspired you to take on the Olympic side of things? Because you think of Summer Olympics, you have gymnastics, and then you go to Winter Olympics and you do gymnastics on skates or on skis, and that's wild.
Really, it's just doing it for the plot. Like, I think it gives everybody a little bit of joy to try and see somebody do something that they may or may not think they could do just from watching it on their TV. It really does finally give that perspective. So when I did it for the summer, it was so well received. It was honestly a no-brainer to bring it back for the winter. It wasn't even a thought. But now doing it for the winter, I'm realizing season 2 of Out of Shape Olympics, significantly more dangerous.
Now, you've traveled a little bit for this as well. Yeah. Talk to me about some of the sports you've tried so far with the Winter Olympics. And obviously there's some safety components too, because we're not putting ourselves in danger just for the plot.
100%. I, just to clarify, don't ever do anything that a professional tells me I shouldn't do. I consult a professional of that sport before I try anything. So for example, I went out to Mount St. Louis to do all of our like downhill snowboarding, skiing events. And they were very clear. They're like, hey, we're happy to host you. We're happy to get you set up, do as much as we can, but we're going to assign a ski patroller with you the whole time just in case something happens. And if that ski patroller is like, hey, this is out of your wheelhouse, I just didn't do it. I just stopped. I did an easier version of that thing. We also went over to Whistler. We traveled to Vancouver for this. I am really committed to the series. We ended up going to the Whistler Sliding Center and the Whistler Sports Legacies, the Olympic parks, to try like a little preview of what's to come. We did try bobsledding and we did try skeleton, which was the scariest thing I've ever done in my life. But it's all safely regulated. Like, they do a really good job out there to make sure you know all the risks going in, and then they take every precaution to make sure you don't get hurt. Yeah.
And this is all to pay respect to the athletes because they make it look so easy, and it is incredibly challenging. And I've seen on your series where you have the top 2 times, the gold medal, silver, last place, and then your time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I, again, want to highlight just how hard it is to make something look effortless. It is impossible to actually get up from your couch and be even close to what these Olympians do. And for the, like, yeah, here we are. And for the Winter Olympics especially, like, it's even impossible to, like, just do, period. Like, anything. Summer Olympics, you can sprint, you can probably run, but you most likely can't make it down a 2,000 meter.
I can't do that. Oh, yeah. We're going to finish this off with a little ice dancing. Simona, you go first, and then I'll follow you. A little commentary. We're watching Simona representing Toronto doing a little bit of ice dancing here. She's doing a backward skate right now and a bit of a spin. I feel like that's a gold medal. And for myself, I'm going to do the Dougie and send it back into the studio, and then maybe one of these, because that's about as far as it goes.
Maybe that'll be a new category.
Getting ready for the Toronto Caribbean Carnival. Yeah. Take this on the road. Anyway, something's back to you guys.
It's a whole new sport.
Honestly, though, it's funny because no doubt you've watched and thought maybe I can do that. Is there a sport you think you could maybe do in the Winter Games? The luge, just push you down?
Maybe like the skeleton just lying on your back and just going full speed. Maybe that, but I'm watching like the downhill skiing, the jumping. They're going at 130 clicks.
Yeah,
like they'd be charged with speeding on the 401. No, I can't do that.
There's no. How about you? You're a dancer though. I feel like you could maybe do.
I was never a figure skater, but every 4 years I'm reminded of this dream of apparently being a figure skater or an ice dancer. So I love to watch it. But could I do it? maybe not so well. What about you, Mish?
Honestly, I think maybe the skeleton. Just push me down there. I don't know. But it is amazing with the athletes. Sometimes you'll have like someone who is a sprinter in the summer games and they end up just being the sprinter on the bobsled. So it's cool that you could, you know, do a sport you maybe never thought of.
Speed skating and cycling, the two can kind of work together. Anyway, yes, lots of fun.
We can dream.
Good for Jess out there, and great for that content creator. We haven't had no shortage of winter weather, that's for sure, recently, but today the tide is turning, the page is turning, if you will. A little bit of a change on the way for the next several days here. Let's get to your forecast. Weather is brought to you by the Presler Law Firm Injury Lawyers. You don't pay unless they win. We did have some light snow overnight and into this morning. It may have impacted your morning commute, depending on which corner of the GTA you were traveling through. Just enough snow that likely some had to do some light shoveling, certainly likely had to brush off your vehicle. And now as we take a look at the satellite and radar, we're essentially done with the worst of it. Some areas are still getting some snow, especially in through eastern sections of the province. But this is it for the next little bit here. We're going to be a little bit quieter over the coming days. We're also going to be a little bit warmer. So let's get to that part of the forecast. First, we'll simply set this forecast radar in motion to show you chance of flurries through today and tomorrow. Mostly cloudy skies, but also some sunny breaks. Thursday, Friday, and then heading into the long weekend, looking pretty calm and quiet condition-wise. I think we'll take that. It's been pretty active the last few weeks here in southern Ontario. It's -1 degree still at this hour at Pearson Airport, but it's now 3 degrees in Windsor, Ontario. Looks like the warm spot of the province so far is Point Pelee. That's, of course, in the extreme southwest as well. We are at our seasonal norm of -1 degree. But again, we look to climb higher than that to about +1. And then tonight, dropping to around -3 degrees for a low. Still going to feel like -9 tomorrow. Likely going to be close to freezing once again, maybe -1 for the daytime high. But again, these are improvements compared to the last many weeks. I mean, even just yesterday morning, it was -20 degrees at Pearson Airport. I'm just going to remind you of that fact. There's tomorrow at a glance across various portions of southern Ontario. And of course, we have to get to your 7-day forecast. We remain decently mild right through to the weekend. Saturday brings us sunshine for Valentine's Day. Chance of a little bit of light snow Sunday night, but then Family Day Monday is looking great at this point. A mix of sun and cloud, variable cloudiness, and a high near 2 degrees. That's the weather for now. Michelle, over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. A rising star in Canadian tennis is advancing to the next round of the Qatar Open.
Out. Game. Set a match.
Victoria Mboko there making quick work of her opponent today, winning 6-4, 6-4 in a 1-hour, 37-minute match. The 19-year-old now moves on to the third round at the WTA 1000 tournament. Next up for the 10th-seeded Canadian is Mira Andreeva of Russia. Mboko has improved her record this season to 10-3.
Still to come, calls to improve diabetes care in Ontario schools. We'll have more on the push for changes when we come back. Parents of children with diabetes are calling on the province to improve its standard of care for diabetes in schools. Currently, they say the supervision and help kids receive varies widely from classroom to classroom and board to board. A spokesperson for Education Minister Paul Calandra says policy regarding diabetes care is currently under review.
The Canadian Medical Association says doctors are concerned their patients are receiving bad health advice from artificial intelligence. An online survey from Abacus Data asked more than 5,000 Canadians a series of questions about where they get their health information. Nearly every respondent said they go online because it's quick and easy to access. Roughly half say they look to an AI search result from Google or ChatGPT for information. Half of the people also say they get treatment advice from AI. The survey indicates those who followed the AI advice were 5 times more likely to report an adverse reaction or a negative outcome.
Still to come, Yorkdale Shopping Centre has won a legal battle against an unwanted tenant. We'll have more on the case when we come back.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
Starting this summer, federal workers will be required to be at the office at least 4 days a week.
The government says it will ensure there's enough office space for employees. But one union president says workers will be returning to horrendous conditions inside some federal buildings. CTV's Katie Griffin explains.
As federal workers prepare to spend more time in the office, a warning from Canada's largest public sector union.
Currently, the conditions within the offices are horrendous. There's still issues with the buildings. There's bed bugs, pests. We're talking about mice, bats. There's just issues with the actual setup, and there's not enough space.
This comes after a new directive was issued last week requiring most federal public service workers to be in the office 4 days a week as of July 6th.
We know that they've grown by tens of thousands of people since the pandemic, and we know that they've downsized space. So we're concerned that the math equation might not be working.
Commercial real estate expert Sean Hamilton says the government needs a strategy and a plan.
There is a solution that the federal government could offer, high quality space to its workforce by leasing space from the private sector, essentially taking the space back that they divested of.
The federal budget outlined a plan for Public Services and Procurement Canada to reduce its office portfolio by 50% over the next 10 years. In a statement, the department says given the increase of on-site presence for employees, the reduction target will be adjusted accordingly. Planning in this regard is underway. The new in-office mandate prompting PSAC to file an unfair labor practice complaint.
People's mental health has been impacted, and now they're told, by the way, we're changing your working conditions and you're required to come in 4 days a week. It doesn't make sense.
Katie Griffin, CTV News.
The owner of Yorkdale Shopping Centre has won its fight against an unwanted tenant moving into its former Hudson's Bay store. Oxford Properties took its fight against discount apartment store Les Ailes de la Mode to court. The company argued the retail brand, which owns Fairweather, is not suitable for its luxury mall. An Ontario judge ruled the plan lacked what she called commercial soundness and agreed to block the store from taking over the space. Coming up, searching for the perfect pin. We'll have more on side competition happening alongside the Winter Games in Italy. We'll explain. Athletes are chasing gold at the Olympics, but there is a separate competition underway throughout Milan.
CTV's Garrett Berry has more on the hunt for the perfect pin.
An Olympic morning in Milan means, of course, competition. To these victors, the spoils, an exclusive city pin. To many others, broken hearts if they arrived too late for the prize.
Yes, we are trying this, but it's not going great for now. We don't have any pins for now.
The quest for Milan's perfect pin will take you all over the city. Each day here, there's a scavenger hunt of sorts where the city's tourism information board posts a new location in the morning and pin collectors congregate here to try to get a chance at a limited edition giveaway. This morning in Milan's Navigli district, people waited hours for the small souvenir.
Well, they're giving them out and it's kind of a hunt for them, so it makes it fun.
Because I live in Milan, quindi I want these pins, all pins.
I love pins. I don't know, I love putting them on my clothes and it's an easy accessory.
Some have been doing this for decades. Meet Thomas Rondi, a pin collector for 14 Olympic Games running, with the hardware to show.
It's really interesting. People have so much fun at it, and it's not really official yet for the Olympics, and we're in a club called the Olympin, and we're trying to literally get it part of the Olympics officially.
You'll find him anywhere in this city, always open for pin trading business. Even CTV anchor Heather Butts got in on the action.
This is the Paralympic Winter Games from Vancouver 2010.
The deal done.
We'll do that trade, and then you trade, and then you have fun, and you say thank you very much.
But there's more business to do. Rondi says each Olympic city starts a little cold, but towards the end of the games, it's a full-on frenzy to get your favorite pin while you can. Garrett Berry, CTV News in Milan.
Okay, so you're trying to trade up when you're trading these pins?
I guess
That's
it
how it
depends
works?
what you want. I don't know. I kind of want a pin now after watching that story.
Okay, we can get you a pin.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Looks tough to get.
It looks like they're hard to come by. Weather-wise here today, we are looking at a little more in the way of some light snow, maybe some flurries, but for the most part, the accumulating snow has come to an end. There's one more look at the satellite and radar. Of course, the other big story today is the warm-up. Of course, this is all relative, but we are still at -1 degree at Pearson Airport. Expect that temperature is going to climb as we make our way through the afternoon to maybe 1, even 2 degrees. Overnight tonight, though, we slip back below the freezing mark to around -3 degrees. That's not so bad, is it? It's still going to feel like -9 overnight. And then tomorrow's high likely just slightly below freezing as well. A mostly cloudy day with a chance of a few flurries. Your 7-day forecast is looking like this. So overall, it's pretty calm, pretty quiet heading into the weekend. Temperature-wise, there is one cold night I can see there Thursday going into Friday. But again, pleasant conditions for Friday and Saturday with some sunshine. Nice and comfortable for celebrating Valentine's Day. A little bit of snow possible on Sunday night. And then Monday looks great for everyone celebrating Family Day. An uneventful forecast, I think, is a good thing. Nathan and
I like uneventful.
Yeah.
And that's it for CTV News at noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and the whole team here, have a pleasant afternoon. I'm Michelle Dubé.
And I'm Nathan Downer. Be sure to join us later for CTV News at 5 and 6. Have a great afternoon.
See you then.